Okay, guys, now we are talking about the proportional relationships. Okay, we already talked about ratio and unit rate, and now we're talking about proportional relationships. Okay, what's a proportion? According to your book, a proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equivalent. That's in page 115. A proportion is going to make, yeah, two ratios is going to tell us that two ratios are equivalent. So, for example, let's say an easy one. We know that 1 to 2, 1 to 2 is equivalent to x to 10. Okay, so if I multiply 1 to 2 is the same as x to 10. Yeah, we know 1 to 2 is a half, is half of something. So what's the half of 10? It's 5. So we know this one's very easy. We know that this is 1 to 2 is equivalent to 5 to. Okay, that's an easy one. We don't even need to do any procedure or anything or any process to find the result. Let's say, for example, um, that I want to cook rice. I want to cook rice, and I find on the internet that for each portion of rice, I need to add 2 portions of water. Okay, so the ratio of rice to water will be 1 to 2, right? And this is equivalent to what? Let's write, I have, will have many people coming for lunch to my house. Not now, because we are all at home, so no going to other houses to have lunch. But this is a normal situation for the coming months. So I will have many people coming for lunch to my house. So I'll prepare 5 portions of, well, not 5, it's going to be too easy. Let's say I'll prepare 7 portions of rice. How much water do I need? Very easy, right? So if it's 1 to 2, 1 portion of rice to 2 portions of water, it's 7 portions of rice to X portions of water. In this case, I can make the same thing. I can do the same thing. 1 to 2 is the same as 7 to 14. Okay, it's easy. But there is a system, a process that we can apply for in any case for this that is going to be helpful with more complex situations. So it's cross multiplication. So if I cross multiply here, it's going to be 1 times x equals 2 times 7. Okay, cross multiplication here. 1 times x is the same as 2 times 7. And this is going to be x equals 14. We already know that, okay? But this is how we solve it for these cases. Let's find relationship which is a little bit more complicated. Let's take again this example with Santiago. So Santiago is in a soccer team. He scored 7 out of 20 goals. Okay, let's say Santiago scored 7 to 20 goals. In this case, we would write it as scored 7 out of 20 goals in his team so far. Okay, so when his team has scored 40 goals, how many of them will correspond to Santiago? Okay, if the proportion remains, of course. Okay, we are finding proportionally how many of those 40 goals will correspond to Santiago. So let's say here that Santiago makes 7 out of 20 goals. So when the total amount of goals is 40, how many of them will correspond to Santiago? And it's 7 to 20 is equivalent, or it's proportional to x to 40. So let's find what's the value of x here. Same thing, we're going to do cross multiplication. So this is 7 times 40 equals to x, or equals to 20 times x. Okay, so here I'm just going to, you know that if I want to isolate this variable, I need to get rid of this 20. How can I get rid of that 20? Taking it down here, it's going to be multiplying on the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to write all of this as a fraction. This is going to be 7 times 40 divided by 20. And all of this is going to be equals to x. I could use my calculator here, but actually, if I have a 0 up here and I have a 0 down here, they can cancel out. So this is the same as writing 7 times 4 divided by 2. Okay, then it's very easy, because 7 times 4 it's 28. 28 divided by 2 equals to x. This means that 14 is equals to x again. Okay, same result as here. It's just, well, I didn't prepare that. It just came like this. Okay, so we have that 14 goals will correspond to Santiago if the proportion remains and the team has scored 40 goals here. Okay, so this is the concept. Let's go to Excel. Let's go to IXL and let's take these proportional relationships. It was this one, yeah, solve proportions. That's the one I was just solving. And then we have scale drawings, word problems. Okay, it's essentially, it's the same thing. Okay, it's very similar. Okay, what's a scale drawing? It means there's a correspondence between the distances or the sizes of things in a map or in a drawing or something, and in real life. Okay, so if the schoolyard is 108 meters long and it is 36 millimeters long in the drawing, okay, so I guess 108 divided by 36 is 3, right? Yeah. these three. So this means that 1 millimeter here corresponds to 3 meters. Okay, it's proportional. We are just finding the most simplified form of that proportion, but it's the same. It's basically we have an unknown here, something we don't know, and we have to find it knowing that it's proportional to this. So 1 millimeter is corresponding to 3 meters. Same thing here. Jared made a scale drawing of a house and its lawn. The scale I used was 1 inch to 5 feet. The actual length of the backyard is 75 feet. How long is the yard in the drawing? Okay, so it's 1 to 5, and we want to know how long is there in the drawing if in the real life it's 75 feet. So if it's proportional, 1 to 5 is going to be 15 to 75. Okay, if you don't know, if you're not sure about this one, I'm just like calculating that mentally. But if you want to do the process, it's perfectly fine. So I excel. This one is H. It's the problem about Jared. Okay, so we can write this. If you're not sure about what I just did, just make the cross multiplication. Write this. So it's 1 inch to 5 feet. So we have, we don't know how many inches, takes inches to 75 feet. Okay? So let's do the same thing as before, just cross multiplication. It's 1 times 75, I'm just going to write the 75, equals to 5x. So this is going to be 75 over 5 equals to x. If we divide 75 by 5, it will give us 15. So it's 15 inches. Okay, that's it. Okay, guys, I hope you understood everything. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.